Today, we're going to be talking about how to reduce our household bills.
Most of the times I go for what he likes more, especially in terms of the food.
Okay.
Because he likes food and I feel...
Expenses don't just come, especially if you're someone who's deliberate with your spending. And most times when I have to advise people, I tell them, don't just walk into a supermarket or a shopping mall. You will always see something that would catch your eyes.
Yes, have a list.
Have a list.
We have two grown-up boys at our university.
Okay.
And then
Wow.
the two girls, they are in lessons.
Wow.
I enjoy see them around and I enjoy pay the fee. Because I know the more I pay the bill, the more God blesses me.
Hallelujah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Amazons.
Welcome to Amazons. Today, we're going to be talking about how to reduce our household bills. We've already discussed who should pay the bills, and now we want to see how can we reduce these bills. Bimbo, Aisha, we all got bills to pay.
Very true, but you know, when it comes to reducing household expenses, oh goodness, there's one thing I will not do, and that is, you know, Aisha does it. Aisha puts on generator from 6:30 to 12 midnight.
That's right.
I will leave it until morning.
Then you will pay through your nose to get diesel.
I understand.
Especially when NEPA takes the light all the
I
time.
agree. Like in my area, there's never lights. I'm on generator 24/7, but I will explain it. When I'm at home, as much as I want to reduce my bills and make sure I'm managing my bills properly, my expenses, I also have to remember that what I do is creative. And if I don't get enough rest, then my creative abilities are diminished. So one thing I do not play with is light. If I'm at home for 3 weeks and there's no NEPA, I will put on the generator for 3 weeks.
Then you will pay more for NEPA, for generator.
I know.
You know, in some homes, especially now, NEPA has increased tariff. You go to some homes, the lights are on 24/7. You have to teach the children, when you leave the room, if no one is there, switch off the lights. When you come back to the room, you need the light, switch it on. If you have finished having your bath, switch off the water heater. If you leave it on 24 hours, the bill is running. These are the small expenses you have to manage so that at the end of the month, you can imagine how much you would have saved doing those simple things.
Do you know Bimbo, do you know I was laughing when she said something about when you finish in the bathroom, you turn off the light.
Yes, switch off the water heater.
Because you know what, in the UK, that's what you do. You dare not leave lights on. Because you pay bills. But here, I don't know, maybe because of what's going on with NEPA and everything, you know, I know it's really expensive.
No, it used to be that you were giving a bill at the end of the month. So people never thought about that, you know, if you put off this or you put off that, you know, it will reduce your bills. But now that we do pay as you go, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
We buy the recharge cards, basically.
Yes.
So now everybody's actually more
Prepaid
careful. With like, because they realize that, okay, I bought 10,000 naira recharge card. If I don't manage it, it'll be done in 2 weeks and I'll have to buy another. Exactly. So it actually does help with cutting your expenses.
But household bills are not just about electricity, okay? They're also about food, clothing,
water,
telephone, water. Am I right?
Refilling, waste,
absolutely correct.
Waste disposal.
So many things, actually, when it comes to household bills. So what I want us to discuss now is, are there some of those household bills, are they necessary or are we being excessive? For example, you know, when we were talking about it, you know, backstage, Aisha was of the, like you said, she would turn off the generator
at 12 midnight.
At 12 midnight, and as far as Aisha is concerned, the AC that has cooled your room from 6 to 12 should carry you till the morning. People almost had a heart attack.
6:30 a.m. If NEPA doesn't bring the light, you put it back on at 6 a.m. for everybody to get ready for work, for school, and, you know, hit the road.
Okay, you know, with me, there are certain things I do at home to reduce my expenses. Like, I don't buy my food stuff in Lagos.
Okay.
I go to Ibadan. I go to Oyo to buy food stuff. Not only because I'm trying to reduce bills, but also because traveling through that part, I bought some stuff, then I thought, oh, wow, this is better made than it is in Lagos. So, and I drive. For me, it's 1 hour, 30 minutes. I'm there. I've bought what I have to buy. I'm driving back home. It's like going to the market. You spend a whole day there and you buy in bulk. When you buy in bulk, you save on expenses because everything is actually, okay, meta 50 naira. That's 3 for 50 naira.
No, but economically, has that saved you anything? You have traveled
out of
you
Lagos
have traveled out of Lagos. You have bought fuel. You have traveled that bad road. You have mentally, gone through the.
It depends. See, for me, I'm a food buff. I love to cook, and I like to cook with fresh ingredients.
You can get that in mile 12 now.
I can't go to mile 12, but I can go to Ibadan. In mile 12, I will spend ×2 of what I will spend in Ibadan. Why? Apart from, as soon as everybody sees me, actress, if it's 15 hours, they tell me it's 5,000. And that's apart from the people who are rushing me right, left, and center saying, give us a wheelie. I don't know what it means. But for me, going to Ibadan, they will greet you, but the price, even if they're going to increase it, is by maybe, 50 naira, 100 naira. But in Lagos, they see actors as millionaires. So they expect you to pay and keep paying for everything. For me. That's why I said for me.
But for the woman at home, for the man at home, who is not actress, who is not known, they won't go to, they won't travel outside of Lagos.
It depends on your taste and what you like in food. In mile 12 is great for you, but I go and buy my bushmeat on the way to Oyo after Ibadan on the left.
She actually knows the spot. Actually,
the bushmeat there is amazing.
Food, like we said, electricity, there's so many things that that come out under the household bills. And when you talk about the household expenses, this actually happens when two people are cohabiting together or are living together. I'm not talking about the extended family now where you have your mother living somewhere and you still actually pay your mother's bills or your father, But I'm actually trying to look at it within the marriage,
immediate family.
Your immediate family, Now, for me, some of the ways that I think household bills can be reduced is, for example, if you have a child who is a boy, and women have this habit of going out and buying a lot of things, especially if it's their first-time moms, they will spend so much buying all those clothes because they don't have the experience that children go out of clothes very quickly, And then when they spend so much money and then you have another boy, I think you can reduce household bills by keeping those clothes somewhere. And then if you do have a boy, if you're lucky enough, and sometimes a girl can actually wear some boy clothes, and then you can actually they call it pass me down. Yes,
you pass it down to the next
person. Pass it down to the next child. So you can actually reduce household bills by doing that. Also, I think we can have, you can set up a budget. Okay, in my house, what I do is I have a particular amount of money that I've decided I'm going to spend every month. We go to the market at the end of the month. We buy all the things that we need in bulk. And sometimes we run out towards the end of the month. But you know what? If we run out of chicken 5 days to the end of the month, we eat egg. That's another way to manage
because it's budgeted for.
Because it's budgeted for. So you just try and learn that, if you have a budget, you stick to your budget. And that's not the only thing as well. Sometimes when you have children and you send them to school, there's no point in sending a child to school in 20 miles here and then 3 miles there. You can actually put your children in the same school, which saves cost of going backward and forward and picking them. Back in the UK, there's something we call the carpool. They don't do it here. The reason why people do carpool is because so that everyone can save money. So if there's 7 children living on the same street and they all go to the local school, a mother will say, you know what, this week I'll do the school run, and she will do it, and then next week, and then you pass it around. And I think these are the things that we need to take into consideration, and maybe if we inhabit all this, we'll be able to actually cut down on this household bills. There's nothing we can do about it. They're bills, we need to pay them.
And pulling together, you can also pull together to, buy a cow. Slaughter it.
Yes, which is what some friends, like 3 of us could buy a cow. We all have freezers. You divide the meat equally. You put it in your freezers. You've cut down on expenses instantly, meat expenses, and you also have in bulk for a while. Yeah, sure.
Exactly. And also planning holidays as well. People want to go. A lot of people travel. You don't have to travel out of the country to actually have a good time now. But I think saving as well can reduce household bills. I don't think people actually save anymore. I know there's not enough money around anymore, but I think if you do save money, because I remember when we were growing up, if you want to buy, for example, you want to buy something that you know that your parents are not going to give you the money, you save money towards it. And thereby, you know, you can reduce cost also by saving. That's what I think. Anyway, we're going to take a short break now and we'll be right. Welcome back. We're talking about household expenses today, and we've been discussing about how to reduce our household expenses, what we can do in order to make sure that, you know, we plan it. Lagos is a very, very expensive place to stay.
And Abuja.
And Abuja. Now, in as much as you have a budget, you know, and food, prices of food is constantly increasing. I mean, petrol, as we all know, let's not go into that. It's a different thing. There's never electricity, water, so many. And we still buy water.
Yes,
I mean,
people do. I
you
do.
know, I've had to buy water recently, you know. In as much as we're talking about reducing household expenses, is it possible to reduce it when you can actually control increase?
Yeah, in certain ways, there are things that are going to be out of your control, but there are also other things that are within your control that you can work on. Like, I know people like to eat out. And it's a beautiful thing for you to eat out with your family. Like, when I was growing up, every Sunday was family day. We would go to the beach in the morning, and in the evening, we'll go out for dinner at a restaurant.
Yeah.
But another thing you can do is you can do restaurants once a month. You can go on picnics. That cuts your cost of going to pay for an expensive meal. Anyway, you cook something different, you take it to the beach, you sit down as a family, and you have a picnic. That reduces costs.
Very true. And again, you can, aside from cutting down on eating out, you can also control the waste of what you consume at home. A lot of families cook more than they actually need. You know, you find out that at the end of the meal, what you have actually consumed is less than what is left in the pot. And then that is wasteful because one, you don't have the light to keep it refrigerated, and you can only keep it refrigerated for a short period. Otherwise, it goes off taste, and you have to throw it away. So that too is a good way for families
to reduce their household.
Also using leftovers to make another meal.
I like that. You know, like during Christmas time, the Christmas
leftover
turkey and everything.
You can make a sandwich out of it the next day.
Of course, yeah. Oh.
Like
are you hungry now?
Anyway, I want to ask someone in the audience. Obviously, I mean, you guys pay bills. Do you pay? Does anyone pay bills at the moment? I know, you know.
Who lives alone?
who lives alone and pays bills? You. Okay, could you just, you know, tell us how you manage it?
My name is Tosin Disu.
Tosin Disu.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to say something.
Thank you very much. Do you pay bills, Tosin?
Yes, I do.
Really, Tosin, you pay bills. You work and you pay the bills.
Yes, I work and I pay bills.
Okay, good. What bills do you pay?
Like, I pay house rent.
Wow.
We have someone that washes the compound.
Okay.
So we have to pay her at the end of the month.
Okay.
Like NEPA bills.
Okay. Okay, what do you do in order to reduce your household bills? Because obviously, whatever you make, you know, no one makes enough money to be able to pay all the bills that they want to pay. So have you taken any measures at all, or ways in which you think you can reduce your household bills?
Yeah, sometimes I do. Like, probably when I get my salary, before even I get my salary, I've already, like, once I get my salary, I have to budget for things like this, so that it won't weigh me down by the time it's time for me to pay it.
Okay, so you set money aside, saving?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes,
okay, that's good. Is anyone married in the audience? I need a married person. Anyone married? No. Anyway, you know what? Joining us on set now is a couple who's been married for 3 years, and that's Mr. and Mrs. Ajiboye.
Welcome to Amazons.
You're welcome.
How are you? Please have a seat.
You're welcome. Welcome, Mr. and Mrs. Ajiboye. We're talking about how to reduce household expenses, okay? As the man, I believe that you pay most of the bills. I'm not saying you don't pay, darling, but I believe that you pay most of the bills. Okay? And you've been married for 3 years. Now, I know when you're growing up as a child, you saw your father paying bills, and obviously you assumed that when you do get married as well, you will pay bills as well. Now, it's different when someone else is paying your bills, and then when you're paying the bills, I mean, when you're actually feeling the pinch in the pocket, I mean, is this something that you were prepared for? And how have you been managing it?
Basically, I want to point out that, for a long time, I've observed my parents and I've watched the way they manage their bills, and I pick up one or two things from them. That is, in terms of taking responsibility.
Okay.
And I won't really say that it's strange to me, paying bills because of that singular factor. But the only challenge there is that, when I was single, I know what I want.
Okay.
Now I have a wife.
And kids, I believe.
And kids, two kids.
2 kids, yeah.
And now the budget is big.
Of course.
And now it creates challenges because you have to let go some of the things that you really like.
Okay.
Personal things.
Okay.
So that you can actually allocate some resources, some budget to cover all the other expenses.
In other words, one of the ways that you've managed to reduce your household expenses is by letting go of some certain things you used to do.
Yes.
In order to be able to pay for these things that you never used to do, but you now have to do,
yes.
like school fees.
Yes. School fees is the biggest part of it.
I know. I know.
That one is not negotiable.
Madam, do you find that at times when you don't manage, the allowance for the month properly, or you don't do a budget properly, it creates tension in the house?
Of course, yes.
Okay.
So many times, probably he gives me money for the month, and then probably at the end of the month you're like, why is this? This is not this, and this is not this. I'll tell him that so many things are expensive in the market. Okay. I have to probably manage it. He will say, you would have written everything down in bits. If it's meat, if it's this, if it's that, you have to write everything accordingly so that we'll be able to know our monthly budget.
Okay.
And all that.
Okay.
So 3 years of marriage, to me that is still very, very young. You are still nurturing the union. So expenses in the home, the man provides. If you're working and you can support, you also support. Do you get to make a list of what you need monthly or weekly? And do you buy in bulk? Are there things that your husband would like and you still have to, in spite of the tight budget, and even when it is not within the budget, manage to squeeze out? How do you do that to make sure that he's happy?
We actually do budget on monthly basis because we buy in bulk. It's cheaper when you buy in bulk. And I notice most of the times I go for what he likes more, especially in terms of the food.
Okay.
Because he likes food, and I feel... So I always ask him all the time, what do you want and all this. He tells me, so I go for most of what he likes. So, and I buy it in bulk. He likes his chicken, so I like, if it's cheaper when you buy it in bulk, and you actually ask people around you where they sell it cheaper.
Okay.
So as not to go and buy where you're not supposed to buy. Okay. You buy it cheaper, you stock in the fridge. If it's soup, if you go to the cheapest market, like where they sell it cheaper, you just don't go to markets because they are they are more expensive to themselves. You buy cheap, you cook in large quantity and store in the fridge, and you bring it out. It's very cheap.
Okay, moving away from food. You said he likes food. Moving away from food. I think you have 2 daughters?
Yes.
Okay. Now, obviously when you had your first daughter, you know, I'm sure you went all out because it was the first child. You wanted her to look pretty and stuff like that. You bought a lot of clothes. Okay. Now, have you? I mean, what did you do with those clothes? Now that you have a younger daughter, when you were having the second one, did you go out again and spend money to buy stuff for the other one, or you passed it down?
Yeah, the second one is also a girl too.
Okay.
So the ones that are still new,
Okay.
I wash them and I iron because they grow very rapidly and all that. So as she grows, I fold the ones that she can no more use. I fold them into a different place so that for the younger ones and all that. So while I was buying for the new one, I only bought the essential things, probably like Pampers that you can't just do
And
without.
what was the reason why you did this? Was it because you were trying to take expense into consideration?
Definitely yes, and you just don't need them because if you try to like buy new ones, those ones will just be wasted. You end up giving them out. Like
what we do in my house is we buy oversized.
Yes, I in fact I didn't buy 0 to 3. All the wears that I normally buy is like from 3 even 12
to 6 months.
Even what I even wore her today is 12, and she's just 3 months. I wore her 12 months and all that. You buy larger size so that it will last them longer.
There's this crucial thing. It's amazing the things that affect you in this country, I tell you. I know a lot of people where in their marriage, in the relationship, what normally starts the argument is generator. Honestly, generator, because the man goes out, he's the one buying the diesel and the petrol. The woman is at home, she's hot, the kids are hot. She'll put the generator on when she's not supposed to put it on. The man comes out and gets angry. Am I right?
Sometimes.
Yeah, but I was thinking a way to cut down on that would be inverters. It seems like it's more expensive in the sense that if you want one that will carry your fridge, freezer, you pay more for it. But at the end of the day, you're spending less on electricity. Because even if you charge it with your generator, you're talking about an hour, 2 hours, and it will last you for so long. So fuel and diesel is out of the question.
I agree, but this is something that I promised a few people that I was going to ask you as a man, that because you pay for the petrol, does that mean I cannot use the AC when I want to use it when I'm hot?
No, I think it's a matter of agreement. You know, I'll put it this way: where I live, you know, I understand that I have a room.
Okay.
It's properly ventilated. It's more or less like, you know, when you get inside, it's like AC because of the breeze.
Okay.
And sometimes, you know, when the issue of I need to turn on the AC, you know, this, that, I say you have a hairy room. We call it hairy room. It's actually our guest room. So it's the hairy room. Go to the hairy room. You don't need any AC there. In fact, you can catch cold. So the only challenge there is now about, okay, what about the TV?
Yeah, well, it's not just the air condition. I'm talking about the TV. Believe me, electricity.
The comfort of the room.
You know, electricity is necessary. When the kids come back from school, kids get back about 4 o'clock.
Yes.
Believe me, it's very difficult between that 4 o'clock till that 7 o'clock when Oga has said to you that you can put the generator on. So you find some women, they put it on. When Oga presses the on outside, you see them running to turn off the generator.
Yeah, that's true.
It happens because it's really difficult to manage. At the same time, the woman is being considerate that, you know what, I know my husband is paying for this, but unfortunately, we don't have electricity in this country. And it's something that is absolutely necessary in every home. You know, anyway, on that note, I really want to say thank you guys for coming, and I do hope that in your sojourn of your marriage, you know, that you have plenty more blissful marriage. Thank you so much.
Madam, to use that your weapon if you do need to use it.
I'm watching out.
We're taking a short break now. We'll be back. Welcome back to Amazons. We're still talking about how to reduce our household bills. We've been talking about electricity, which is a big headache to all of us in this country. And Aisha, she said earlier on, turns the generator on at 7 or 6:30 and it goes off at 12.
But you know what?
And whether you like it or not is still the next day.
One thing I just realized is that in other countries, what they do when they're building is that they actually take the wind movement into consideration so that you have more wind flow in your house. Okay, in the sense that if it's
You mean
coming...
like cross ventilation?
Exactly.
Okay.
In Nigeria, we don't do that.
Where is the wind?
There's wind that's not me. People are trying to insult my country. There is wind. But if we did that, also, and your house was airy, like he was saying, there wouldn't be need for a generator.
But a generator is not just for electricity.
electricity.
So it's not just
Just
for
for the
AC and fan.
No, I agree.
You know-
It's also, then you can say during the day, I won't put on the gen because
Sorry,
it's airy,
you know
but
what?
at night, I will.
Audience, is it me or is it a mental or psychological thing that once light goes, you start feeling hot? Once there's no light, I just start feeling hot. Whether it's raining or it's not raining.
Ventilation.
Honestly.
But cross-ventilated room, sometimes you do. In fact, at night you don't need the.
You don't need it, it's actually cold.
If it's cross-ventilated,
Actually cold.
and the neighborhood is not what's
Choked
the word?
up.
It's not choked up.
That's
Because
like
once
that
it's
can
choked
never-
up, cannot, even if it's cross-ventilated, the wind cannot pass through
From
the house that is so
somebody else's.
close to. You
What
understand?
about preservation of food? Because a lot of us don't cook every day. You know, we don't cook every time we want to. We cook and we put it in the freezer. If you don't have light, how are you going to preserve the food?
I cook every day.
And then we just said we should do monthly shopping. So if you buy enough chicken to last
And
you for a
enough
month,
beef.
where do you put it? So it's something that you can't escape from. You know?
Very true.
Anyway, joining us again on set, we've got a couple who's been married for 18 years. This man has been paying bills for 18 years. Let's have him here and see what he's got to say about household expense reduction. Thank you. We're having Mr. and Mrs. Segun Oluyemo.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome, sir. Thank you for being here.
Welcome, sir.
Madam, I can hug.
Welcome. Please take a seat. What a gentleman. Madam, sit down. Thank you.
My only complaint is that you didn't give me hugs.
I insist.
Thank you. Welcome, sir. Welcome, madam.
Thank you very much.
We've been talking about household expenses. Okay, it's something that I'm sure Mr. Oluyemo, you have been paying for 18 good years. Going to work every day for 31 days or 30 days a month, collecting that, paycheck, and not being able to actually use it for yourself alone, and the paycheck actually going on paying household expenses. 18 years. How have you been doing it?
Well, thank you very much. Firstly, all glory must go to God, because it is neither by my might or by my power. It is by the grace of God. It's the blessing that is coming from Him directly. What I would like you to know is that an African man by nature is gregarious. That is, you have a lot of people surrounding you. So it might not be a difficult thing for me, because before I got married to her, I've been used to having people around me.
Okay.
I wouldn't say they are hangers on, but by the nature of an African man, that you have these extended relatives coming to you, stay with you, and when you have a young man that's very early in his age, he had all the, what you call Lagos wealth. You have a flat to yourself, you have a car to yourself, then you have a minimum, what you can call minimum comforts.
Okay.
Then you have a lot of people surrounding you.
Okay.
So I was well prepared for the challenge, kind of. So
Okay.
I'd be spending before I got married to her.
Okay.
So I got used to it, and it wasn't too painful. I would even say getting married to her in the early stage kind of reduce the expenses because a lot of people had to go away from the.
Okay, madam, let me ask you, apart from school fees, we all know school fees is crazy. What is the most expensive thing on your budget monthly?
Feeding.
Food.
Food. And after food, what is it? What else?
Well, I don't pay house rent. I'm not well to pay that. But
Isn't that fantastic? House rent she's not, but food.
Well, maybe let me pause here. Like I said, by the nature of our profession, we are in the same profession.
Okay, you work together?
Yes, we are we are working together right now.
Okay.
We are real estate consultants.
Okay.
We real estate management, and I used to work with a federal government parastatal, and she was working with a kind of state parastatal too.
Okay.
However, like I said, you know, I considered everything to God when I started. Just about 3 years into our marriage, we had our own house. So the issue of rent,
you don't pay rent.
so since 1999, we have not been paying rent.
Wow.
That's good. So madam, 18 years, that's experience in marriage. I mean, one can't 10, 18 years. In all of these 18 years, did you have to make a structural adjustment to your expenses and budget along the line to get to the point where you know that the budget is now constant? You do not have to redo and redo it over again with Oga to get the approval and the assent for you to spend.
Well, the issue of budget. Do I really have a long-standing budget? I don't think so, because your budget changes with time, with expenses, with increments and all this stuff. So you don't have a static budget.
Okay.
But I can tell that we have an average idea of like per week we should be able to do this. But honestly, I don't collect a monthly allowance. I will tell you, I collect pay as you go.
That monthly doesn't work,
yes,
right?
Monthly doesn't work because it's quite a large family.
Okay.
So it's like we have the need for this. We want to buy this. When it's can just
okay, so when the need arises, then you go to.
Yeah.
So really, you do not operate within a budget because, you know, pay as you go. You cannot determine at the end of the month, this is how much you will spend.
That's not as if you cannot really determine. Sometimes you are within the budget. Sometimes you have some things that are beyond you. Maybe you have visitors from somewhere and they're like a family within, you know, you feel the heat.
But I think from the way Oga is looking, I think Oga has his own budget. So you may think you're getting pay as you go, but I'm sure when you exceed that budget, Oga will say no.
Yeah, he can say no.
So
but
Oga has
sometimes
budget.
you wouldn't have a choice when something is very important.
Very, very
It depends
important.
on what exactly it is we need in the house.
Okay, so as a couple that's been married for 18 years, the young couples now, people are getting married even at, you know, at a very young age now, and a lot of them are going into it and thinking, you know, we're hunky-dory, you know, we fall in love, we start living together, and then boom, you know, responsibility, baby comes, responsibility, household expenses, and a lot of these breakups actually, really and honestly, is due to lack of a younger man, you know, not being able or not being prepared for the journey ahead. And then he gets there and he's still used to going to parties with his friends or wanting to buy things for himself. And sometimes, because I say it takes maturity to be able to work hard, earn money, and use it to, should I say, look after someone else. It does. I would say that, you know. So as a married couple who's been married for 18 years, what advice do you have for those youth who are getting married, people who are cohabiting at a very, very early stage, your stages of their lives? What kind of advice do you have for them?
I would just tell them that they should be focused, be tolerant, understanding, and they should, you know, communicate.
Communication.
So, you know,
Well, let me add. You see, I want to go biblical. In Genesis 2:18, woman is described as an helper, suitable. When you look at the word suitable, it means fit. Eh? And that if you walk within the within the ambit of that biblical definition as a man, you will know that, and I think it's in Hebrew, that the Bible even says that the man that cannot care for his house is much more than an infidel. So if you are a Christian, and you look at those injunctions, kind of, let me call it injunctions, you should be able to prepare your mind into what you are going to. That this woman that is coming to you is going to be your helper.
Okay.
The Bible does not say that she should be the wearer of the shoe. And the peradventure, because of the situation in the country, there is a bit of challenge, like the man losing his job. The Bible further tells us that woman, you should submit to your husband, not that the man should submit to the wife.
Okay.
Do you understand? So if they operate within that and they make God the foundation of their home, things will work out very fine for them.
Well, fantastic. Thank you. So, Maisha, Bimbo,
No, you've said it all.
okay. Well, you said it all. Thank you so much for coming on the show to share your views and in this sojourn of 18 years of paying bills. And Madam, thank you. Keep up the good work.
Well, let me add that I'm not complaining. I enjoyed it very well. We have 2 grown-up boys at our university.
Okay.
And then
Wow.
the 2 girls, they are in lessons.
Wow.
I enjoy see them around, and I enjoy pay the bill.
Thank
Because
you.
I know the more I pay the bill, the more God blesses.
Hallelujah. Thank you so much. We're going to take a short break. And joining us on set now is Mr. Ugochukwu Onyeka, a financial consultant with Benjamin Cole Consulting. Mr. Chukwu.
How are you?
Hello. Take a seat. Welcome, Mr. Ugochukwu Onyeka. So are you Mr. Onyeka or Mr. Ugochukwu?
Mr. Onyeka.
Mr. Onyeka.
So we'll just call you Onyeka.
Oh, well,
But I can call you Ugo.
Okay. You're a financial consultant with Benjamin Cole Consulting.
Yes,
okay. And what we've been talking about on Amazon's today is how we can reduce our household expenses. These are bills that we cannot run away from. You know, they're there, we need to pay them. And what we're trying to do is just to say, okay, are there some of these bills, are they excessive? Do we actually plan for these bills? And if we do plan for them, how can we set things aside in order to be able to make sure that we're able to, you know, pay this bill? So I want you to talk to us from a financial, or from an accountant point of view. You know, so that we make sure that our account is not always in deficits.
yeah, true. Okay, it truly is. Most Nigerians are spur of the moment people spend on impulse.
Okay,
without any
spendthrifts, is
form-
that what they call them?
Oh, yeah. Without any form of planning.
Okay.
Most of us are not deliberate about spending.
Okay.
So I think it's more of a cultural thing.
Okay.
It's the mindset in this part of the world that we're just spontaneous with things, including our finances, decisions, and all that.
Okay.
So, but really, the real thing to do is to sit back. Finances is not something. Your finance is not something that you should be careless with.
Okay.
You know, because it has a way of determining every other thing.
Of course.
Like I always tell people, especially when I have to counsel couples,
Okay.
every decision you make has a financial implication.
Of course.
Decide to get married today, they have to do the wedding and do stuff. Decide to have a child today, you'd have to pay school fees, Pampers, and all that.
Okay.
So every decision you make, whatever it is, no matter how small it is, has a financial implication. And if you're not deliberate about your finances,
Okay.
you're going to miss it.
Okay, so what you're advising is before we make any decision, even in terms of actually planning budgets, and within the home, like food budget, how much you're going to spend on petrol per month, how much you're going to spend on diesel per month. So you're saying it would be good to sit down and actually deliberate on this before you actually say, you know what, I can afford to set aside 30,000 naira on food. Don't just make the decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because in the financial world, there's something they call the Parkinson's law on finances. It says that expenses will always rise to meet income, or whatever it is you. Once you have an opportunity, even if it's not your income per se, but once you have an opportunity maybe to borrow, take a credit card or something, you would always have something to spend on.
That's the more you earn, the more you spend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like one of the things I've done is I do not have an ATM card for my savings account.
Okay.
The account where I put my money, because one time what I found out was everywhere I went, I'm like, oh, the card is there. Okay. And then one day I got my end of month, what's that thing, account, and I was like, statement of account, and I was like, oh, okay. When did I do that? But by looking at everything that was there, I could pinpoint when and how I did it. So one of the things I do to cut, extra expensive, impulsive buying is not to have an ATM card.
Okay, Bimbo saying this now brings me to the question of this cashless policy. The cashless policy means you don't carry money around, you carry the card around, and the card is with you all the time. You don't know the actual worth of what you have spent the card on until the statement comes, right? So in this cashless Nigeria, how do you use cashless the cashless cash to plan for household expenses?
Okay, I always tell people that expenses don't just come, especially if you're someone who's deliberate with your spending. And most times when I have to advise people, I tell them, don't just walk into a supermarket or a shopping mall. You will always see something that would catch your eyes.
Yes, have a list.
Have a list. That's the first thing.
I know.
Have a shopping list.
And don't go outside of the list.
And don't go outside of the list, no matter.
Is this directed at me?
We didn't have any prior discussion.
Or it's directed at the families out there.
At the families, yeah. No matter how prudent you think you are, once you enter into a shopping mall, there is always something. I know of one couple that the wife is the husband is not too
buoyant.
It's not buoyant. The husband has some cash, to spare, and then the wife too, and both of them are loose with finances. So it's not like somebody has a leash on the other person. So the wife goes out to them. Oh, honey, I just saw this car. It's a Honda Element. It's 3.5 million. Can I buy it? And unplanned, 3.5 million goes. And then the other time, honey, I just saw this. And before you know it, if you see their family expense, and they keep complaining, we don't have money, or stuff like that. So you have to be deliberate about your spending. If not, something will always carry your money away.
That's the advice for the family.
That's the advice.
What you've just described now is for the upper class.
Yeah.
For the middle class, a young couple who is just getting married, who just wanting to start a family. Sure. What would be the best advice as a financial consultant, as an accountant?
Okay.
What advice would you give to them?
An intending couple consulted with me, and I asked them. They were about to get married, so the lady was all about, we could take a loan, they were bankers. We could take a loan from the bank, repayable over 2 years, and then we need to finance the wedding. And I asked for the wedding budget, and well, it was moderate for them. They felt it was moderate, and they said it was about 3 million naira. And then they were going to ship in the wedding gowns, and they were going to do this and that and that. And I called the bride-to-be. I told her, let's just play a little game. You want to take a loan that you'd repay over 2 years, right? And she said, yes. Okay. Remember the wedding you attended 2 years ago? As in, let's even say it's the best wedding you attended 2 years ago. What was the bride wearing? And she couldn't remember. So I asked her, what's the point spending and taking a loan for something you keep paying? By the time you're through with the loan, everyone has forgotten what you wore on the wedding, what kind of food they ate, and stuff like that. So I helped cancel them to the point they brought down their
reality. Bring her back to reality.
Wake them up and then get them back to reality. Seriously.
Can I just ask you, as a financial consultant, would you say that when people are about to get married, because all these household expenses, you understand, come up once two people decide to start living under the same roof, isn't it? Okay. Would you say that marriage counseling, which is offered, automatically once you say you want to get married, do you think they should now start incorporating financial counseling as well?
Yeah, good counselors incorporate that.
Already, so you can, even when you go for the marriage counseling, you actually get the financial counseling there. Sure. Okay, what about banks? Do you think, are there anything that banks are doing, like if you want to get married and you want to open a joint account, if people still do that now, do they actually advise couples about, how to manage their household expenses and how to save for the future? Are these things that, or they just advise them to get loan?
Unfortunately, in the Nigerian system right now, most banks are deposit driven. All they want is just open an account.
They just want your money.
So, but that's what every bank everywhere in the world really wants. At the end of the day, nobody's going to cancel you and say, "Don't spend too much, don't take a loan." They'll be like, "Oh yes, you can afford to have 3 million. You pay back in 2 years." They don't tell you what the interest is immediately. That's the banking sector. But if we do it in churches, and that's amazing.
That's what I was thinking. That maybe even if they do it, maybe more emphasis should be laid on it and let people actually know that in as much as they're counseling you to go into marriage on how to deal with yourself, finances, like you said, is key. And every decision, as you said, you make has a financial implications. Thank you.
Plan your spending. Be deliberate about it. Don't be spontaneous.
Don't be
like Bimbo.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Welcome back. Still talking about household expenses and how we can reduce it. Bimbo, so stop spending.
No, you know what? At the end of the day, you really don't think about all the things, but I do know that impulsive buying is horrible, and I have cut down tremendously on it. But one of the things I have learned today is that I must have a budget for every department, everything I'm doing. I must think about it beforehand. And one of the things that kills us women, hair, clothes, shoes, is, if you plan your wardrobe properly, you have a more complete wardrobe than when you buy impulsively. I'm an impulsive buyer, I know that. But when you plan that, okay, I need 2 dresses for evening wear, I need 4 shirts, I need this, it saves cost. So I've learned today, and I promise you, I'll be a better person managing my finances.
Aisha.
Yes, Ugo, just summed it up correctly, that you don't buy impulsively, you don't spend spontaneously, be deliberate about your spending, plan it, and make sure you do not spend over and above that which you have planned and which you have budgeted for. Once you do that, you are healthy financially and you are safe.
Well, viewers, you've heard it all. We've been talking about household expenses and how you can reduce it. And we've had couples here who were newly married and, been married for 3 years. And we've had another couple who's been married for 18 years. They shared their experiences with us. We had a financial consultant also on the program to also advise us on how to manage our budget. But I would just like to close by saying that, what? Like they said, communicate, deliberate, have a budget, and stick to it. Till next time, take care.